All right, we're back once again for episode number 4, and let's recap the huge win for the UTSA Roadrunners, 12 to 8 over the Dallas Baptist Patriots. We talked about it at the beginning. Well, we talked about it in the last episode previewing this matchup and tonight's game. We weren't sure how Connor Kelly was going to pitch. You know, he had already to start the season about a totally struggling, but again, still a slow start. Only 3 innings pitched though, but today he came to play, especially at the beginning of the game. He gets 2 strikeouts in the top of the first inning, sets the tempo, and like we talked about in the preview, as long as the pitching kind of did their job, the UTSA bats are going to take care of business to help out their pitchers. And it's exactly what they did. UTSA once again takes advantage of the opposing team walking them. They're more than happy to get on base with walks because they know they'll cash it in. And that's exactly what happened. Josh Arquette hits a triple, brings in some runs, and guess who's back in the lineup? Diego Diaz. He played at second base, struggled a little bit fielding, wasn't the cleanest game at second base for him, but his hustle and his batting surely made up for it. And he hits a 2-run home run. Huge lead for UTSA to begin this game. They're up 6-0 to begin, and they couldn't have asked for a better start. And Connor Kelly, he continued his hot start in the beginning of the game with 2 more strikeouts, just absolutely commanding and pounding the strike zone against Dallas Baptist. But that changed in the 3rd inning when Dallas Baptist came back, scoring 4 runs with a 2-run home run, which made it 6-4 UTSA. But Connor Kelly again was able to calm down, relax, and he got 3 more strikeouts to strike out the side in the top of the 4th inning. And UTSA goes to work. Jordan Ballin with a 2-run single. Now it's 8-4 UTSA. Again, hot start. The UTSA bats are red hot. We weren't sure, at least I wasn't too sure, how they would do today against a Dallas Baptist pitching staff that has only been allowing .156 batting average. You know, sometimes that makes you wonder, but again, like we talked about, they haven't played a team as good as UTSA, and UTSA lived up to the expectations, and they came out and were aggressive and attacked this Dallas Baptist pitching staff. And they also were, you know, they took their time and they got their walks and got on base just exactly like they wanted to. And like I said, ball and 2-run single was a great hit. But again, in the top of the 5th inning, here comes Dallas Baptist. They're not going away. 3-run home run to make it an 8-7 game. UTSA still has the lead. And that was it for Connor Kelly. He did have a strong game. Probably pitched 1 inning too long. In comes Sam Simmons, who we talked about in the preview that I thought he would start in game 2, but now that I was watching him and I kind of got a better idea and better feel for it, because he kind of has that submarine arm angle and he does use it from time to time, it kind of does make sense for him to come in as a reliever rather than start a game. So I do get why Simmons came in, and it paid off for UTSA. So I think that was a great idea and a great outing from Sam Simmons, because guess what happens in the bottom of the 5th inning? A 2-run home run, Andrew Stuckey, to make it 10-7 UTSA. Their pitching staff keeps them in the game long enough, and the bats do the rest. That's kind of been what's been happening with UTSA, and it's been working. So we know that Arlovsky went down early, so kind of threw a wrench in their pitching staff to begin the season. But so far, they're weathering the storm, and the UTSA bats are definitely helping them out. So in the top of the 6th inning, Simmons gets in kind of a jam, but he's able to get out of it. No harm, no foul, gets the strikeout to end the inning. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and guess what? Left fielder Drew Detlefson hits a 2-run home run, his first home run of the year. And he also closed out the game in left field with 2 good catches, confident catches, which not the easiest whenever the game's on the line, but he comes in clutch at the plate with a 2-run home run. UTSA gets a little bit more breathing room with Josh Arquette, who hits a single, which made him 1 home run away from hitting for the cycle. He had a single, a double, and a triple in the game. Arquette, the JUCO transfer, sophomore transfer, has been playing great so far to start the season. And in the top of the 8, Dallas Baptist still not done. They get a leadoff home run, scores 12-8, but UTSA escapes and gets out of the inning. And that takes us to the bottom of the 8th. nothing really happened. Jordan Ballin did get a stolen base, which was great because earlier in the game, UTSA got caught stealing for the first time this season. Not a big deal, but we had a good little streak going there. And then in the bottom of the ninth, Sam Simmons, he ends the game. Like I said, Drew Detlefson had the two outs, one at the warning track. I thought it could have been a home run, but the batter did get under it. So Drew Detlefson does what he needs to do in left field. Sam Simmons pitches, I believe it was four strong innings there, 4 2/3, I believe. And UTSA gets the win 12-8. Where they go from here. Of course, everyone's been doing well at the plate. We expect that. And this is a great start. Obviously, we want to get 2 out of the 3 wins. A sweep would be amazing, but they did get the first win down. So now is when the real work begins. They got to get another win. Like we talked about, this series is going to pay dividends not only down the road Selection Sunday, but heading into next week when they have top matchups on the board against Texas State, against Ohio State, against Coastal Carolina, Baylor. Huge games and huge resume builders for Selection Sunday. Who do I think is going to start tomorrow in the game? I believe Dallas Baptist has their pitcher posted, and I didn't write it down from this morning. And we talked about Kendall Dove pitching on Sunday. I think Mike DiBattista will get the nod tomorrow, especially after a win. And it was great that the other pitchers were able to rest. Only 2 pitchers pitched today. Connor Kelly, who was outstanding, honestly. I mean, he did have a 6 ERA just from 3 innings, but he proved with his strikeouts and his power pitching that he could be a 4-5 inning starter for UTSA this season, especially in conference play. And if you could bring in Sam Simmons to back him up and relieve him, I believe that's a great 1-2 combo, and it worked out perfectly for Kelly as the Friday starter. Saturday, I like to see Mike DiBattista start, and then now with that, you could use your relievers and hope Kendall Dove can go, give you at least 4, maybe 5 innings on Sunday. But again, the Saturday matchup I believe is going to be at 2 p.m. Central Time. A huge matchup for UTSA because they need to get that second win under their belt. And then, of course, you ride the power pitcher, Kendall Dove, on Sunday and try to get the sweep. I think they could do it. Everything's been going great for UTSA at the plate. They've been very patient. They've been extremely patient at the plate, taking their hit by pitches, getting walks, not hitting into double plays. I believe they hit into 1 double play, and it took an outstanding play, I believe, by the second baseman. I think that's the one drawback as well for UTSA. Their infield defensively, they had a bad game. Jordan Ballin made a close play, but it was a bad throw to get out of a tight inning. Diego Diaz did struggle at second base. He kind of bobbled a couple balls that could have saved 1 or 2 runs, which didn't cost them tonight, but could cost them down the road, like we saw in the NCAA tournament against UCLA. Sometimes not being able to make those plays. Whenever you're watching Rock Chalowski, one of the best players in the country, one of the best prospects I've seen at short in a long time, make every single play and basically eat up anything that's on the ground in the infield, and then UTSA kind of struggled, then, can't really have that. But it's early in the season. I expect them to tighten that up. Other than that, that's pretty much my only real takeaways, negatives from the game. Connor Kelly wasn't perfect, but with his strikeouts and power pitching, I think he did just enough, and he did a great job. Sam Simmons, again, remains outstanding out of the bullpen for UTSA. I don't think he's getting enough credit, but the senior has been lights out to begin the season. I hope Mike DiBattista gets a start tomorrow, and then let's see how Hallmark works with the bullpen, which he did well on Tuesday, which I like. They use a good amount of pitchers. I believe we talked about it, 6 pitchers, and it worked out. So I'm curious to see how the batting order and lineup looks tomorrow because they did kind of switch it up today, and it worked out. Diego Diaz hits a home run. Ballin, he did a solid job at shortstop. So we'll see what happens. Hallmark's hustle. He had an amazing hustle play at second base. They try to throw him out, but he ran through the bag, clean play with his cleats, and he runs through the bag, and he prevented a double play from happening. Like, that's some of the best hustle you're going to see. Same thing with Diego Diaz. He did bobble those balls, but his hustle around the bases and his his offense hitting the home run. He did an outstanding job today. Again, Stuckey comes up clutch, and so does Detlefson. So this UTSA offense is firing on all cylinders. They just got to keep it up and have the pitching, back them up as well. And they did tonight. It wasn't perfect, but as good as you could ask for against a team like Dallas Baptist. And they didn't lose the lead once they got out to a 6-0 lead, which I was kind of nervous about, but they were able to hold on to it. So what y'all think about the first game of the series? How do y'all think UTSA is looking right now? Who do you think is going to pitch tomorrow? I want to thank everyone for liking, watching, subscribing, trolling, and we'll be back tomorrow to recap game 2. If I'm not able to, then I will definitely be able to recap Sunday's game and recap the entire series. So until then, thanks for liking. Go ahead and subscribe, and we'll see y'all later.